The Swiss ammo and Swiss rifles, there's a lot of confusion. GP11, this is 1981, has a very shallow shoulder. Now this can run in any rifle the Swiss make in 7.5 by 55. That's what they say. I have yet to find any information about the Swiss ammo GP11 that will actually give you a case headspace dimension from the base to a datum line. I just haven't seen it. Now if you look how shallow this case is, this shoulder is, compared to, that's PPU, prepared excuse me, compared to a piece of 81 GP11 that I shot out of my rifle. I mean, you can clearly see how much the shoulder has blown out. Now that's fired. I haven't resized it or anything. And here's a PPU case fired in the same rifle. Now I don't have any factory new PPU to really look at the shoulder. I'm gonna gander the factory PPU isn't quite like that. It doesn't have that shallow, short shoulder. I believe they do this so it will chamber in all the 7.5 by 55 rifles, and it gives a generous amount of headspace for chambering. Might have ice and snow on there, what have you, dirt, whatever. All military chambers and ammo is on the loose side, so it will chamber and go bang. But that said, if you take the Lee or even the Redding die for Swiss 7.5 by 55, set it up per instructions till it touches the contact, till it contacts the shell plate, and then approximately an eighth to a quarter turn more, you're going to pound that shoulder back 20 thousandths of an inch on my rifle, at least. And that's what I was getting confusion on. And I was having a big problem with a lot of case neck growth. I was finding I had to trim a lot. And then I started thinking, if you're doing that, you're going to be probably getting a lot of case head separation. Didn't like it at all. So I then basically tried finding a headspace gauge from Hornady, because I got the Hornady headspace comparator. They don't list 7.5 for any bushing, so I finally got around to calling Hornady. Even the guy was a little stumped because he said they don't actually have a listing. So he basically said 0.375 bushing, 0.400 bushing. Somewhere in there you'll find a happy medium. I ended up using the 375 bushing. I've been tossing stuff on my bench all week that I've been finding scattered around the house, so it's a bit messy. So I'm not looking at for any real highly accurate measurements here. And I still don't have any kind of stand to use for my phone to record. Someday. Alright, so I used the C375 case comparator. Alright. Now if you use this on the GP11 brass, factory GP11, you're going to get approximately this. It varies from 0.4 to 0.7. I got maybe 10 or so rounds of factory ammo left, and it averaged out at 1805. Now, you take the fired case, you take the fired GP case out of my rifle, you get 1823. That's a 20 thousandths increase in headspace. Is it actually headspace increase, or just where the shoulder contacts after firing and it fire forms to the actual shoulder angle in the rifle? I would think if it was 20,000 off on headspace, you'd have a lot of fail to fires. You'd get a lot of gas blowback in your face. So I don't think the so-called headspace on the rifle is bad. Plus the Swiss measure headspace by bolt end play. So it gets a little confusing, especially when we're so used to believing that accuracy comes up from fire form cases, you know, a thousandths of inch off the shoulder and right off the lands. That's what we're led to believe. But I think what happens is that the lead is so short on the K31 that the pressure builds up really quickly, fire forms these cases nice, and you get good consistent pressure that way. So back to the Lee dies here. I just use the Lee dies. I find Lee dies are very good for the money, especially if you're just looking to hit, you know, an SR1 target, 10 ring, 3 minute of angle. So they work good. I haven't had a problem with Lee dies yet. Fit and finish can be a little rough, but send them back, they'll send you new ones. I found this die set up per instructions will squish that brass back so far that it goes beyond touching the shoulder of the K31, and then you get a lot of blowback, misfires, which I did have until I kind of said, you know what, I'm just gonna use this more for a neck sizing die. I don't see a lot of differences in the body measurements. You know, I'll just measure them with the cheap caliper that I have. There's no huge swings, you know, we're talking 2-3 thousandths at most. So the Swiss round in itself can be confusing. Now, I use Dykem to find the contact of the lands, and I'm telling you right now, this 155 bullet will contact the lands unless you seat it really short versus how long this one is. But this is a very long, thin bullet. Plus it's 174 grains. 174 grains. Here's the 155 nozzler I use. They're a fat bullet. They're short and fat. Kind of like a Palmer design. Okay, you can see if I can do this without making a mess. It's not a very long bullet. You can see if I don't want to hit the lands, and these are just off the lands, probably 15 thousandths, maybe 20 thousandths. But you can see how deep it settles into the case. Now, what you'll really notice, I don't have one of these bullets pulled, and I'm not going to bother pulling one. You measure a GP11 bullet right at the neck. Measure a GP bullet right at the neck. You're going to get 301. These bullets don't even hit the 308 mark until they're probably a 1/16 or an eighth of an inch into the case. I mean, that's just how the bullet is. They're also heavily crimped. They have very heavy crimp on them. So they might even squish the bullet down a little bit when they crimp them. Now you compare that to this bullet. It just happens to be right where this bullet meets the neck is right around 301, 303. And I have no problem with it hitting in the lands. I'll tell you one thing about the K31 I figured out. If you try to seat them a little too long, that bolt does not like to close if the bullet's hitting the lands, which is a good thing. That keeps you from having some crazy high pressures if you're loading on the hot side. These are light. These are only 40.5 grains, maybe 2,500 feet per second. Nice shoot and load. I've already shown I can hit the 10 ring all day long with it slow fire, prone with a sling, which is, not too bad. It's 3 minutes, under 3 minutes prone with those crappy iron sights. If you're hitting the 10 ring, you're doing good. I don't care what ammo you're using. I'm not an expert shooter, and I think most people that are actually shooting these rifles probably aren't. And most people who are shooting for the highest scores are not using notch sights. So this will probably be my last year for the notch sights, and I'll probably just buy myself an early Christmas present and get the Swiss Products aperture sight set up and just have fun with this rifle, shoot some cast loads out of it, and just have fun with it. I'm not having fun anymore with the iron sights. I just can't see them that well. But these are all ready to go. I'm going to be loading these up sometime today, maybe tomorrow, who knows. But there's a lot going on with the Swiss rifle. I dropped some primers. I hate that. They end up all over the place. So I modified a magazine to hold 5 rounds. I just used some silicone I had kicking around. Works pretty good. If you don't put 6 rounds in here, they tend to fall out. I like loading 5 and 5. That way I don't have to think. And these mags, these are just plastic reproduction mags. They work. They get a little soft in the heat, but just keep them out of the sun and they'll be fine. I've had no problems with them. They're no worse than the crappy paper cartridge ones. I wish somebody could come up with a decent, it'd be nice if someone made a decent metal one that went in buttery smooth. I don't change mags. I'm not buying more mags for this at 50, $80 a pop, and they're not designed to be changed. And from what I hear, the mag latch itself will wear out pretty quick if you actually use it with mag changes. Plus, it was intended to load clips. I'm going to use the clips. All fun stuff. So GP11, really good stuff. And if I see it again at under 60 cents a round, I'm definitely going to buy a case. You'd be foolish not to. These bullets on sale, you can get around 16 to 18 cents a piece. Normally they're 26 to 28. So it's really no bargain to reload Swiss unless you just can't get GP11. If GP11 comes back around and it's 80 cents a pop, I'm just going to reload. I'm not even going to bother. If the brass was reloadable, I'd probably buy it. This is PPU brass. These are on their 5th firing, and they're starting to show their age. But like I said, I'm just barely pushing the shoulder back a couple thousands. And that's about it. It's fun stuff, this Swiss rifle. And I got to tap my front sight just a smidge more, because when I sling up, I know I'm going to have a tendency to pull it right. So I'm going to give it another inch or so to the left, and I should be able to be putting them right in the 10 ring if my eyes are working for me.